Your dog might not like you as much as you think. That sounds harsh, but the signals are there in every interaction, and most owners are misreading them or missing them entirely. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, and more importantly, what to do about it. Welcome to Canine Mind. Subscribe now. This one matters. Today, we're going through 9 warning signs that your dog is uncomfortable, stressed, or emotionally disconnected from you. Not because they're a bad dog, not because you're a bad owner, but because dogs communicate in a language most people were never taught to read, and the gap between what they're saying and what we're hearing can quietly damage the relationship over months and years without either side understanding why. These 9 signs are real, they're measurable, and they're correctable, but you have to see them first. Let's start at the beginning, with the sign that gets misread more than any other. Sign number 9, licking that isn't love. Licking is one of the behaviors dog owners most consistently misinterpret, and the misinterpretation goes in one specific direction. Almost everyone assumes licking means affection. Sometimes it does, but often, and this is the part that surprises people, licking is a stress response, a submissive gesture, or an appeasement signal that the dog is producing because they feel uncertain or uncomfortable in the current situation. The way to tell the difference is not in the licking itself, but in everything surrounding it. A dog who licks you from a place of genuine affection has a loose body, a soft face, and moves toward you freely. A dog who licks from a place of anxiety or submission shows something very different: a stiff or low body posture, a tucked tail, flattened ears, or the avoidance of eye contact. They may lick briefly and then pull away, or lick repeatedly in a way that feels compulsive rather than affectionate. What's happening in these cases is that the dog is communicating appeasement. In canine social language, licking the face or hands of a more dominant individual is a way of signaling, "I am not a threat, please don't be aggressive toward me." When a dog does this with you, it doesn't necessarily mean they're afraid of you, but it does mean something in the dynamic or the moment is producing social pressure they feel they need to respond to. And if you're seeing this regularly, if your dog routinely licks you with a tense body and then moves away, that pattern is worth paying attention to. The fix begins with backing off whatever is creating the pressure. Give them space. Let them approach you on their terms. Reduce the intensity of your greetings or your handling. Over time, as the dog learns that your presence is safe and unpressured, the licking will shift, if it continues at all, into something that looks and feels genuinely different. Sign number 8, the quiet welcome. This one is uncomfortable to confront because it requires you to honestly observe your dog's reaction when you come home, not what you hope you're seeing, what is actually there. A dog who is bonded to you and feels safe in your presence shows something when you return. It doesn't have to be dramatic. Not every dog is a jumper or a spinner, but there's something, a tail that moves, a body that orients toward you, eye contact that is warm and directed. The energy in the room changes. They know you're there, and they want you to know they know. A dog who treats your return as a non-event, who stays lying down, who doesn't change their behavior when you walk in, who avoids eye contact or physically moves away from you, is communicating emotional distance, not indifference in the casual sense, actual disconnection from you as their person. This can develop for a number of reasons: a history of unpredictable handling, a pattern of interactions the dog has learned to associate with stress or discomfort, an environment where their needs, physical, social, cognitive, are consistently unmet. In some cases, it reflects a bond that was never fully established to begin with, particularly in dogs who were adopted as adults from difficult backgrounds. The path back from here is not to demand more engagement. It's to rebuild the associations, one positive low-pressure interaction at a time. Short training sessions with high-value rewards, calm, predictable handling, letting the dog choose the contact rather than imposing it. Over weeks and months, a dog who treated your return as irrelevant can learn that your presence is something worth turning toward. Sign number 7, suddenly refusing food from you. A dog who won't take food from your hand is sending a significant signal,
and it almost never has anything to do with the food itself. Dogs are motivated by food at a deeply biological level. When that motivation is overridden, when the situation or the person associated with the offering of food produces enough stress or negative association to shut down the food response, something is wrong with the dynamic. If your dog takes food from other people in the household but not from you, that specificity is important data.
It means the issue isn't the dog's appetite or a physical problem. It means something about your specific presence or the interactions you've had is producing an emotional state in the dog that overrides the food drive. This can happen gradually. A dog who was handled roughly during training, a dog who was punished frequently and now associates their owner with unpredictability, a dog who has been repeatedly put in situations that frighten them and learned to connect that fear with the person who put them there. The food refusal isn't a choice in the human sense. It's the body's honest response to a threat signal that has become attached to a specific person. The response to this sign is patience and consistency. Go back to basics. Let the dog approach the food from your open palm on the floor rather than taking it from your hand. Use the highest value food available. Create positive experiences around your presence without any demands attached to them. Feed them near you, not from you, until the association with your presence softens. It takes time, but the food drive will reassert itself as the emotional block is removed. Sign number 6, the tail that's saying the wrong thing. Most people know that a wagging tail is a happy dog. This is one of the most persistent and damaging oversimplifications in dog behavior. The tail communicates, yes, but what it communicates depends entirely on how it's moving, where it's positioned, and what the rest of the body is doing simultaneously. A high, fast, stiff wag, particularly one where the tail is held above the level of the spine, is not a relaxed greeting. It's a sign of high arousal that can be associated with aggression or dominance rather than friendliness. A low, slow wag, especially combined with a body that is low and curved, is often appeasement or anxiety. A tail that wags while the dog's body is frozen or tense is one of the clearest mixed signals in canine body language. The tail says one thing, the body says another, and the body is always the more reliable communicator. The critical mistake is reading the tail in isolation. When you're assessing your dog's emotional state, the tail is one data point in a system that includes the ears, the eyes, the body posture, the position of the weight, and the quality of the movement overall. A dog who is wagging but whose eyes are hard, whose weight is forward, whose ears are up and forward, whose body is rigid, that dog is not happy to see you. They're in a state of arousal that the wag is not resolving. Pay attention to the whole body. That's where the actual message is. Sign number 5, pulling away from your touch. Physical contact is one of the primary ways humans express affection for their dogs. It's also one of the ways we most consistently impose our emotional needs on animals who haven't consented to the contact and may be actively communicating that they'd prefer not to receive it. When a dog pulls away from being pet, leans back, freezes under your hand, or turns their head away when you try to make contact, these are not subtle signals. These are the dog's most available tool for communicating, not now, or not this, or not you in this moment. The stress signals that accompany unwanted handling are specific and recognizable. A yawn when there's nothing to yawn about, a lip lick when there's no food, a sudden deliberate head turn away from the person trying to make contact, blinking or squinting in a way that isn't related to light. These signals are called calming signals in behavioral science, and they're the dog's attempt to reduce the tension in the situation by communicating their own discomfort. When people override these signals, continuing to pet or hug or hold a dog who is producing them, the dog learns that their communication doesn't work, that signaling doesn't change the situation. When communication stops working, the only remaining tools are more dramatic ones: the growl, the snap, the bite. These behaviors don't come out of nowhere. They come after a long history of quieter signals that were ignored. The most important thing you can do when your dog pulls away from your touch is stop. Just stop. Let them move away. Let them come back to you if and when they choose. The dog who chooses to be near you is telling you something more valuable than the dog who tolerates being held. Build a relationship where approach is voluntary, and the approach will come. Sign number 4, growling or snapping when their space is crossed. Growling is a gift. This sounds counterintuitive, but it's one of the most important things to understand about canine communication. A dog who growls when you approach them while they're resting or eating is doing you the enormous favor of warning you before the situation escalates. They have not failed. They are communicating, using the tools they have, that you have entered their personal space in a way that feels threatening to them. The catastrophically wrong response to this is punishment. A dog who is punished for growling doesn't stop feeling the discomfort that produced the growl. They stop warning you about it. And a dog who has learned that growling produces punishment will skip the growl and go directly to the snap or the bite, because they've been taught that the intermediate communication step has no effect other than making things worse. If your dog is regularly growling at you when you approach their resting space, their food, or during handling, that is important diagnostic information. It tells you the dog does not feel safe in those contexts with you. It does not tell you the dog is aggressive by nature or that the relationship is beyond repair. But it does tell you that those specific contexts are producing a level of discomfort that the dog is reporting as clearly as they know how. Address the source. Work with a qualified trainer or behaviorist who uses force-free methods to desensitize the dog to the specific triggers. Manage the environment in the meantime so the dog doesn't have to keep warning you. And under no circumstances punish the growl. Keep that warning system intact. Sign number 3, not responding to their name. A dog who consistently fails to respond when you call their name is often described as stubborn. Stubbornness is almost never what's actually happening. What's actually happening is one of a small number of specific things, and most of them have nothing to do with defiance. The first possibility is that the name has been classically conditioned to mean something bad. If a dog's name is most often followed by being called over to be scolded, restrained, medicated, or put in a situation they dislike, the name itself becomes a warning signal rather than a cue. The dog hears their name, and their nervous system associates it with negative outcomes. Not responding is a form of avoidance, not stubbornness. The second possibility is emotional withdrawal. A dog who is chronically stressed, understimulated, or living in an environment that doesn't meet their needs will gradually disengage from social interaction. They're not refusing to hear you. They've stopped having the emotional resources to engage with the social world in a meaningful way. The third possibility is that the name has simply been diluted through overuse without reinforcement. A name that is repeated dozens of times a day without any consistent consequence loses its signal value. The dog has learned to filter it out. In all of these cases, the solution is similar. Stop using the name for a period, then reintroduce it with consistent and generous positive reinforcement every single time. Make hearing their name the beginning of something reliably good. Rebuild the association from the ground up. Sign number 2, destruction that targets your belongings specifically. There's a common belief that when dogs destroy things in their owner's absence, they're doing it out of spite. This is not what's happening. Dogs don't have the cognitive architecture for planned revenge. What they do have is a powerful emotional response to separation anxiety and a tendency to engage with objects that carry the scent of the person they're attached to or distressed about being separated from. When a dog chews your shoes, pulls your clothes off the chair, or destroys the specific objects that smell most strongly of you, they're not punishing you for leaving. They're coping. The behavior is driven by the same anxiety that produces the pacing, the panting, the inability to rest that characterizes separation distress. Your belongings carry your scent, and engaging with that scent, even through destruction, is the dog's body seeking some form of contact with the person who isn't there. The underlying issue is not the destruction. The underlying issue is the anxiety driving it. Addressing destruction without addressing the anxiety produces dogs who find other ways to express the same distress. The actual solution is a combination of building the dog's capacity to tolerate separation gradually through behavioral work and sometimes veterinary support, and ensuring that their enrichment and physical exercise needs are being met so they have lower baseline anxiety going into the absences. Sign number 1, the whale eye. If you've ever seen your dog cut their eyes sideways at you, where you can see the white around the iris, creating a half-moon shape at the edge of the eye, you've seen what behaviorists call whale eye. And if you've seen it and dismissed it, This is the sign you most need to understand. Whale eye is one of the clearest and most urgent distress signals in the canine behavioral repertoire. It occurs when a dog is feeling cornered, trapped, or unsafe, and it reflects the physical reality of an eye that is turned away from something threatening while the head is still oriented toward it, the dog trying to maintain awareness of the threat while signaling that they want it to move away. It is frequently seen during forced hugging, when a person gets in a dog's face, when a child approaches a dog who is resting and doesn't move away fast enough, or during any handling that the dog is not comfortable with and cannot escape.
Combined with a stiffened body, a closed mouth, and stillness that looks like tolerance but is actually suppression, the whale eye is the last warning before the dog escalates. A dog who shows whale eye regularly with you is a dog who is regularly experiencing situations they feel unsafe in. That is not a comfortable way for an animal to live, and it is not a sustainable state for a relationship between a person and their dog. The relationship being described by the whale eye is one where the dog's safety signals are not being responded to, and the escalation that follows, the growl, the snap, the bite, is not aggression. It is the dog running out of other options. If you're seeing this sign, stop what you're doing immediately. Give the dog space. If this is a pattern, examine honestly what situations are producing it and what changes in your behavior or the environment would allow the dog to feel safe enough to stop needing it. Here's the truth that all 9 of these signs are pointing at. Dogs do not have the capacity to hide their emotional states from their bodies. Every one of these signals is the dog's nervous system communicating in the only language available to it. When we learn to read that language, really read it, without projecting what we want to see onto what's actually there, we become capable of building something genuinely different with our dogs, a relationship based on what the dog is actually experiencing, not what we're assuming they must be feeling because we love them. The bond worth having is the one where the dog chooses to be near you, where the licking is loose and the welcome is real and the eyes are soft. Those things don't happen by demanding them.
They happen by learning what these 9 signs mean and responding to them correctly every time. Subscribe to Canine Mind and leave a comment. Tell us which of these 9 signs you've noticed in your dog and what you did about it. Because every person who watches this and changes something in how they interact with their dog is a dog somewhere who gets to live differently. That matters.